Good morning to everyone. We're going to dive right into today's session. I'm just going to give you a brief introduction to myself. So we're going to be obviously talking about risk-based site monitoring today. My background is that I have been in the field for 4 decades. So I started out in academia as a coordinator and then a research site manager, and then transitioned to industry as a monitor, and held a variety of positions along the way: study manager, site selection specialist. Always did some sort of training, and 8 years ago decided to strike out and do independent consulting, mostly as a trainer. So that's kind of a very quick snapshot of my background. We did employ some risk-based monitoring. I participated actually in some, even as a coordinator, for reduced source data verification, which is a little piece of this actually. But risk-based monitoring did come into, I guess, more popularity, if you will, a number of years ago. And some companies are jumping in and really embraced it, and other companies were a little slower to take it on. And again, it's not one size fits all. So sometimes we have studies in this model and other times not. So I have our objectives up here for today. We're going to look to see where risk-based decision-making fits in this whole clinical quality system, because of course we always want to make sure we're ensuring good quality of our trials. And that's the whole idea behind risk-based decisions. We look at the protocol and we look at all the other pieces involved with the protocol to determine what could happen, what's the worst possible thing that could happen, how likely is it to happen, and if it does happen, what is the outcome and what can we do to kind of shore that up. So that's kind of it in a nutshell of what we'll be talking about today. We're going to look at the risks for a project related to monitoring. And then again, remember that we do use reduced source data verification in many instances. And that's the whole part of our risk assessment in terms of what if we can do it, and if we do it, what are we asking monitors to look at 100%, and what are we asking monitors to look at less than 100% based upon our risk. We're also going to identify components to include in building the project profile risk score and apply risk factors to various study decisions. Those decisions include, of course, not only the monitoring, but more widely spread in terms of how we are assigning the sites and the frequency of our monitoring. One size doesn't fit all, even for one protocol. It depends very much on the site and the monitor, actually. If you have a newer monitor, you might want to give them a little bit more attention than one that's very seasoned and experienced. Same with sites. Okay, so the next piece here is really to kind of take a look and determine where the risk-based decision is the best fit in terms of, making sure you don't lose any quality. And it sounds to me like you're taking little baby steps first down this. This is your first venture, which is fine. And again, you'll find that not every protocol is going to fit the bill. You may want to keep some of those more complicated protocols along with your 100% SDV and, all the other bells and whistles. So it'll be sort of dipping your toe in, and with certain protocols, embracing it and seeing how it goes. And of course, if you're working with CROs and you're using their processes, that's something else that might be a little bit more reassuring in terms of when you have these discussions with your CROs. Okay, so the cost of clinical development and limitations on the resource that can be made available is something that we look at. Of course, it's expensive to have 100% source data verification done. Of course, right now, we are learning that we can do a lot of things that we thought we could never do. We thought, oh, well, we can never, we have to get to the site. We could never review source remotely. And we're finding all sorts of ways that, yes, you can in many instances. So with this pandemic, if there's any bright side to it, I guess, is that we are learning some new methods of tackling this. Even the FDA is finding some ways to do some remote inspections. So it is kind of a whole different world that's opening up.